And good morning. 9:04, Todd, not 9:03, but we're here.
Yes, we're here just a minute late.
Just
and
a minute late.
When I came in this morning, I heard Motley Crue playing and thought I was at the wrong radio station.
It happens sometimes, Every once in a while, you just kind of pull something out of your little bag of tricks. But we keep a family-oriented show around here, so we picked a Motley Crue song that could be played for the general audience.
Yeah, I think there are several that you could pick out for that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, so but there's some Motley Crue songs, as with AC/DC and other things like that.
You have to be careful probably with. You would have to edit them.
Yeah, and so don't have time for editing. So, man, let's get into it. I tell you, fall sports in full swing. School is back. Full starting. Yeah, school is starting next week. Some have already started, and boy, oh boy, lots to talk about.
Well, we had our volleyball preview in Wednesday's paper. The Caldwell County volleyball team opens the regular season tonight at
good-looking group
against Marshall County.
Yes.
So they're at the Cab Gym tonight, so a good chance to go out there and get an early season look at them. Again, you're looking at one of the top programs in the second region for the last 15 years, and I think they'll be right there. Henderson County is probably the number one team in the region. I think everybody pretty much agrees on that, but I would say Caldwell County is right there in that 2 or 3 mix.
I would say so. Yes, sir. So, and that's out at the Cab tonight, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's underway.
Both soccer teams, I think, have scrimmages tonight, so a whole lot going on. Lots
to talk about. And, boy, we've got basketball in the summertime.
Oh, yeah.
Any more? I mean, I don't remember that happening, say, 30 years ago. Did it happen much? I mean, they probably did, but it seems like it just more and more, I guess, with the networks and different things going on. I mean, I heard UK basketball on the radio last night.
Oh, yeah, Kentucky actually on TV. The SEC network had last night's game.
Okay.
They're on again tonight, 6 o'clock. They're on Saturday at 6 and then Sunday at 3 o'clock, I think, playing 4 games in the Bahamas.
Caribbean tour.
Yeah, of course, some of those games, I mean, they're essentially glorified practices because
birthday boy Jared Nelson just drove by.
Wow, yeah.
We got to give him a little. But anyway, sorry.
Essentially practices.
Yes.
People are playing in these games that once the games start for real probably won't see a whole lot of playing time. But
right.
I think Calipari is still trying to see, which players can do what, who he needs out there. And, again, I think he likes to play 7 or 8 guys, and it doesn't matter how loaded the roster is. He usually pares that down to his 7, 8, maybe 9 in a pinch. He's not a Rick Pitino who's going to play 12 or 13 guys. He's John Calipari, and his history says he wants to play 7 or 8.
Right, and I think more than that too. At least according to Coach Cal, some of the little snippets and stuff I've read here. This is a time for the team to really get to know each other as well. Kind of, get down there and bond a little bit. And it seems, from all indications, that things are going well, at least in that realm.
Well, the best thing I got from what I saw of last night's action was that, the guys were cheering each other on.
Yeah.
And when something good would happen, they would celebrate together, and that doesn't always come together really quickly. But some of those guys are actually there for a second year. You got P.J. Washington, who I thought was maybe the front runner for SEC Player of the Year, before Reed Travis showed up at UK, and now he might be the SEC front runner for Player of the Year. Or those guys are both in the mix, and when you put those guys out there together, that could be an explosive combination. But you've got to figure out the guard situation. He's got so many guards that could play, and again, I don't think they all can. I mean, there's only X number of minutes in a ball game, and there's only one ball, so you can't play all those people at the same time. But I think he has to figure out which one of those guys he can count on and which ones can get the job done.
Yeah, but one thing about Cal is he seems to be, now last year, different story, he seems to pull all the right strings and can figure that out. I don't know if they ever really got that figured out last year.
I don't think they ended up being as talented last year
as everybody thought.
Yeah, because, there are 5 stars and then there are 5 stars, and not all 5 stars are equal. If you bring in an Anthony Davis, he's a 5-star. If there was such a thing, he's probably a 6 or a 7-star. I mean, he's a can't-miss guy, and you don't get those all the time. So not all 5 stars are going to be Anthony Davis.
No.
And sometimes you'll have a 3-star or a 4-star who plays above his means and is really good for you, and sometimes you have a 5-star player who struggles a little bit. So you can look at all those recruiting rankings all you want, and I saw a thing last night during the broadcast that said Coach Calipari, every year he's been at Kentucky, has been either number 1 or number 2 ranked recruiting class according to the ESPN numbers. So
that's probably right. That's probably
that's pretty
accurate.
good. But again, this year's number 1 class doesn't necessarily equal last year's number 1 class or number 2 class,
and it doesn't guarantee anything on the court. It's just a good recruiting class as far as what who evaluates the talent. Yeah. But other than that, you got to go out and get it done on a court.
But Calipari is a genius in some of the things he does, like this Bahamas tour. Well, last night was a 2-hour commercial for University of Kentucky basketball.
Yeah.
And that's on the SEC network, which is nationwide. ESPN is picking up on it. During halftime, they're talking about the UK football team, and surprisingly, those guys picked UK to go 8-4.
Wow.
This year, and almost wanted to give them Florida, which would be 9-3. So that's a crazy year there. And then after the game, they've interviewed Coach Cal, and they're talking to, I think Nick Richards was on afterward. So not just the 2 hours the scrimmage was going on, but the entire time. I mean, that's just, like I said, a big free commercial for UK.
No doubt,
and it's all week, It's,
they're and I think that's one reason too. These teams, the Lipscomb Bisons, Eli Pepper and his band of Bisons, they're doing a tour of Italy, and it's good exposure. And a good time for that bonding, but those guys are getting pressed for doing that. Of course, their first NCAA appearance last year, and that's an up and coming rising program.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's good publicity for a team to do these tours, so to speak.
Oh yeah, and it's a bonding thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, they get to play basketball, and it's almost like extra practices because of those things. So it seems like it's a win-win situation. If you can pay for it.
I think I'd rather go to Italy than the Bahamas. That sounds kind of funny.
It's a tough call.
Now, it is a tough call, but, they're seeing some cool stuff. It's an educational experience as well for those young men, that's what they're doing. They're getting an education, while they're playing basketball.
And it's another recruiting tool,
Sure.
If you're Coach Calipari and you're in somebody's house and, they're on the border and it's like,
by the way,
we're going to the Bahamas for a week. Come
and you get to play
with
ball.
Us. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. It's just good stuff. But I just don't remember. I remember everybody getting geared up for the season. 30 years ago. But I don't know. Is it okay to have basketball on TV and on the air? Am I missing it? Am I just not in the summer?
Well, I think they were smart enough to do this before football season hit.
Yeah.
This is just kind of as far as college sports go. Yes, everybody's gearing up for football, but there's not really much else on the TV right now.
And I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying it just seems like, man, eventually are we going to have it in April and May? It just seems like
I'm not sure how many times you can make that trip.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't think it's something you can do every year.
Yeah.
But, pretty good deal when you can.
Oh, yeah. I get it. Like you said, it's a plug not only for sports, but the university as a whole. You know, and
well, and for Calipari, it kind of appeases part of the UK fan base that's been upset because he won't go to the Maui tournament. He doesn't like those big in-season tournaments, and so for years Kentucky was out there.
Oh, they were out there
every 4 years. So they were out there every 4 years, and he put a stop to that. And I think a lot of Kentucky fans liked that trip. And when you do that, there's a lot more accessibility to the team than what you get, even I think in Lexington maybe.
Yeah.
So by going to the Bahamas, those people who went to Hawaii can now follow them to the Bahamas and have their week with the UK basketball team and have their fun in the sun as well.
No doubt. I'm making a tally this week of ball. How many times we say ball?
What are we up to?
I've got at least 11 right now. I think I missed a few too, but it's kind of fun. I just thought it'd be kind of fun.
Slip those in, and you can't keep up with them.
Hey, by the way, if you want to join in, make a comment or something, go ahead via the text line 270-963-9038. Both Todd and I are really excited about our top 5 this week, which is our favorite Star Trek characters.
Yes, that's going to be fun.
It is, and of course, I'm not near the Trekkie that Todd is, so I struggled just a bit. I'm more of the classic Trekkie guy. There's all kinds of, and not even near what Todd is, but I made it through it. It was pretty easy for me to get mine together, and I think we've got to have possibly Tyler Dixon from the New Era to join us here in just a little while. But the great thing is that we've just got so many things to talk about.
Yeah, and we've got Al Willman from the Paducah Sun, who's going to call in about 9:30.
Great.
When we do our
Star Trek. He's going to do our Star Trek countdown.
He wants to do the Star Trek top 5 with us. So
all right, Al. So he'll be ready to call in, and so
yeah, I'm trying to get him lined up right now to call us about 9:30. So we're doing the show on the air.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'm going to shout out to DT today. DT brought by donuts for the Tiger Talk guest and us today.
Wow.
And
yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks to DT. I told him, I said, man, I'm trying to lose weight. I've been working on it. I've been running. I exercising now. He brings me donut holes. I mean, what a great guy, though. And tomorrow, as a matter of fact, Gator and DT back in the studio.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So that'll be fun. The Friday fun begins.
Why does it take you 3 months to lose a few pounds, but like a day to gain it all back? What's up with that?
I don't know. I just makes me so mad. And then you run 3 miles, you burn maybe 300 calories, and then you drink a Coke, and that sort of negates that, And you're just like, golly, all that work, and you can barely, maybe 2 Cokes for that, but man.
Okay, so I've got Al lined up to call in. Yes, at 9:30.
Okay.
So we're going to do our top 5 about 9:30ish.
That sounds good.
It's top 5 favorite Star Trek characters.
Yeah, and if you want to chime in, go ahead and start texting those. It'd be interesting to see what some
as of about 11 o'clock last night, I had my list down to about 20 or 25.
Yeah.
So stayed up late trying to get it down to, well, I've got a few more than 5. I've got a tie in there at number 5, but I pared it down quite a bit, and it really hurt my feelings to leave some people off, but.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
If we'd have done a top 25, I could have filled that thing out.
Yeah, well, and maybe at some point we'll have, there's top 25 polls, for sports. Maybe there's a top 25 something in the future, and it could be have to do with Star Trek. But sports-wise, where do you want to go, man?
Well, we've had a football scrimmage coming up Friday night.
Yes.
6 o'clock at Tiger Stadium against Butler County. And, even mentioned it in the paper that, hopes are really high here, expecting a really good season, a really fun season. Tiger offense ought to be,
fun to watch.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch again. For Butler County, kind of a rebuilding season. They have a new head coach. They were 0-10 last year. Of course, we saw them in the scrimmage last year, and it was kind of, a little one-sided, but Butler County's got its numbers back up a little bit this year.
Right.
Has some seniors, so, maybe they're headed in the right direction.
Well, it's always good. We'll get one scrimmage in before we open up over in the Jerry Claiborne Bowl on the 17th. But originally this scrimmage was to be at Butler County, but they had some issues with some critters up there at their field. Moles and skunks. And so it got moved down this way. But I guess they've rehabbed and done some things, but still in the process of trying to get that
I've never actually heard of that happening before, where you get chased off your own field, but that actually happened to them last year. I think they had to move 2 home games at the end of the year, and one of those was their homecoming that they had to go and play, I think, at Todd County. They held their homecoming at Todd County, I believe.
The Polecat Bowl.
Yeah, so that's kind of rough, and they haven't been able to get on it this year. They actually had a scrimmage last weekend at Breckenridge County, but I haven't really heard much about that.
Okay.
So Butler County has one scrimmage under its belt, so it's a little ahead of Caldwell County, at least as far as that goes.
Maybe we can get Granny and Uncle Jed up there to rid of all those critters. What do you think? Granny can make Jethro some stew, and we'll get rid of those critters and have some good victuals.
Some possum innards.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That'd be a good idea. But, no, we're looking forward to that, and I think we're going to attempt to have a little preseason fun out there tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And maybe,
you know the thing about possum innards?
What's about possum innards?
They're just as good the next day.
Oh, yeah. That's what Jethro says anyway. That's his motto, and I know Granny can cook them up big time. So possum innards are just good the next day. It's kind of like that with pasta salad and stuff like that, too, isn't it? Possum innards and pasta salad and chili.
Back to Butler County.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I noticed they are picked 4th last in their district this year. So, again, a long way to go, but, you hate to see anybody go 0-10. But it was 2 years ago, Logan County did not win a game. And then last year they opened the season with 11 straight wins.
Yeah.
So it can get turned around.
Sure it can. And I think the preseason poll that I saw, the Class 3A, had us at 8th. One of them. There's a couple of them, yeah.
I think the BluegrassPreps.com poll has us at number 7.
Yeah, this was the Lexington paper.
And the Lexington Herald Leader coaches voting poll had us at number 8, which was interesting because Paducah-Tillman was not in the Bluegrass Preps top 10.
But they're above us in the...
But in the Lexington paper, they're number 7 and Caldwell County's number 8.
Yeah.
So I think one of the bigger games in Western Kentucky this year is going to end up being that Caldwell County at Paducah-Tillman game.
Well, we've talked about it. Yeah. That's probably for the district championship. Yeah. I mean, whoever wins that game. I mean, we hate to say that and, like, oh, my gosh, that's pressure. But that's just probably just the facts, the way it stacks up.
And no disrespect to anybody else in the district.
No.
I mean, that's kind of the way it's been for 2 or 3 years running. And, I think Caldwell looks to be as good, if not better, than last year. And I think Paducah-Tillman looks to be as good, if not better, than last year. So that's kind of where those two teams are at, and that's kind of where our rankings are at.
I think so. And I tell you, it's interesting that, Coach Steve Duncan had that Paducah-Tillman machine rolling last year. I got choked up on my coffee here, so I might take a break in a second. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, they were rolling, they were steaming, they were probably the most physical team we played.
I think so.
I do too. I saw their first game at McCracken County against the Mustangs. Man, I mean, it was unbelievable. I was right on the front row too, and it was right down there on the field. I mean, they were just pounding. And so you knew that at some point with Coach Duncan, they were going to be back up to speed. It might not have happened last year totally. Of course, they had some issues with holding on to the football in most of their games.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, they probably would have been right in them.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Coach Duncan, had to resign due to health issues earlier this year. And so it'd be interesting to see how the new coach, and I can't recall his name. I think
Jonathan Smith?
I think that's it. We'll be able to get those guys and rally. And, they might rally around, Coach Duncan and kind of say, hey, we're gonna do this for him this year. And it'll be interesting to see how they come together.
Well, and I mentioned it last week that when the Tigers played down there 2 years ago, ended up being a pretty comfortable win for Caldwell County. But I remember some of those players on the sideline, on our sideline, saying, man, look at the athletes over on Tillman's team. I mean, they've got us. If you go man to man,
no, that's
Tillman
the truth.
has the athletes. Yeah. But Caldwell County runs its stuff, or at least then
we executed better that
game.
Yeah. We just executed and were able to. But you saw the same thing too in Henderson County.
Oh yeah,
same kind of deal. Though they have good athletes up there. We have good athletes though. We had that performance from Oliver Parker last year. Where we were down in that game, 14-0, and the next thing you know is an explosion. Keep talking. I got to go roll my windows up.
Okay. Looks like it might try to rain, so you better hurry up. But yeah, we've got the Butler County scrimmage coming up Friday night, and then the Tigers will open the regular season next week over at the Stadium of Champions in Hopkinsville against Christian County. That's at the Jerry Claiborne Bowl, and the Caldwell County game is now the first game over there at 5:30. That's a change from what we were told earlier. We were told the 8 o'clock game, but now Caldwell and Christian will play the 5:30 game, and the late game is going to be Hopkinsville and South Warren. Caldwell then goes to Graves County the next week before the first home game against Hopkinsville. And I didn't realize this until I was told that will be the first time that Craig Clayton has brought a team to Tiger Stadium to play Caldwell County.
Wow,
of course, Craig's a former Tiger.
Exactly.
And a long-time great head coach.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big day when he brings his Hoptown team to Caldwell County.
That will be a neat homecoming for him, and I know he's such a fun guy to have in the studio. Gator and DT had him last year, and of course those guys go way back together, and they have all kinds of great stories and tradition to bring up, and it ought to be a neat homecoming for Coach Clayton when he comes back to Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, that game is August 31st.
Yeah.
That's the first home game. The next week, September 7th, is Crittenden County. That's Hall of Fame night.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I get that straight.
That's okay. Hey, it happens. We're human.
That's September
unless you're
7th.
Spock, you're Vulcan.
Yeah, against September 7th against Crittenden County is Hall of Fame night.
Yes.
So we got our Hall of Famers, and we'll mention those guys in just a second.
Yep.
And then September 14th against Henderson County will be the night we honor the 1998 state championship team. And how that's been 20 years,
It's
I have
unbelievable.
no idea.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
20 years for the 1998 state champions.
Yeah, and boy, oh boy, it seems like I remember. I don't know if they recognized them or what they did, but, I was a freshman in high school, 82, 83, I think.
Yeah.
And, of course, 63 was the last championship team. And I remember, that year I was a freshman. It seems like, they were talking about that. Maybe my sophomore year, 83, 84, this 20 years ago. But that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
How time just flies by like that.
And since we're talking about the Hall of Fame night game, it would be logical. See what I did there?
I love it.
It would be logical
I hope
to talk
everybody else
about
caught it.
The Hall of Fame guys.
Yeah, it would not be illogical. It would be logical. And if you're out there and you're listening, and we got an incoming text here. That's good. Middle school football starts tonight as well
at
Union.
At Union.
Yeah,
County.
so we got to give them a plug. Thanks for reminding us of that. And we hope good things come from our middle school team as well.
Their first home game is next Thursday against Hopkinsville.
Yeah. So good luck to those guys tonight over at Union County. That's always a great rivalry. Union County wants to beat us. It starts at junior pro, and then it just goes right on.
Caldwell actually had a nice run going against Union County across all sports until the regional baseball tournament, and Union County kind of got a little measure of revenge when they beat us in the first round.
That's right.
Over at Christian County this past year.
That's
but
exactly
if
right.
you look at football and baseball and basketball, Caldwell County had a lot of success against Union County, and that hasn't always been the case.
No,
so
that's right.
That was a pretty good run the Tigers had going there.
Well, good luck to our middle schools up there tonight. And go ahead, let's get back to our Hall of Famers.
Hall of Fame class of 2018 is William Freilich, Dan Hughes, Chris Cochran, Garrick Sigler, Mark Hooks, Jason Fawn, and Carl Copeland.
Wow, what a great class of guys. Yeah, a lot of contributors, lots of different connections to the football program.
And I'll be honest, my first thought on some of these were, I can't believe they're already in. But then you have to remember there was about a 6 or 7 year hiatus there where there weren't any classes. We kind of took a break.
Had to go. Yeah, you kind of had to go back.
Some of these guys that weren't in that maybe could or should have, well, they didn't do a Hall of Fame class.
And they're getting their due now. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And I think there's several other players that could be in the class next year. I mean, there's just a lot of good guys that need to go in the Hall of Fame. And again, congratulations to all these guys. And
yes, sir.
That's always a fun night.
Recognize their contributions to Caldwell County football, and whether it's on, off the field, and whatever connection that they have to the team, because it's not necessarily all players.
Yeah, and it usually ends up being a really big crowd for that night.
Oh, yeah.
And people stick around, and ceremonies at halftime, and everybody watches that, and it's a really cool deal.
It's a nice evening.
Yeah, you see a lot of guys that spend a lot of time helping out the blue and gold.
No doubt about it. And congratulations to each and every one of those Hall of Fame inductees that are getting ready to come in.
Absolutely. So. It's going to be a fun season, I think, but like I cautioned last week, we've sat here and, we expect Caldwell County to be better than they were last year. We'll just say it.
Yeah.
It looks like the team should be better. But you look at the schedule, and, I don't know if Christian County is going to be quite as good as last year, but I think Graves County is going to be better than last year. I think Hopkinsville is going to be better than last year. Crittenden County, they're getting a little publicity for top 10 in their class.
Yeah.
People are expecting Crittenden County to be better this year. I think Henderson County is going to be better. I think Paducah-Tillman is going to be better. So that's 5 of your first 6 opponents that it looks like will be better this year than they were last year. So theoretically, Caldwell County could be better in 2018 than it was in 2017. And maybe the record not be as good.
That's true. And I don't know if you remember, I think it was last year, we got off to a pretty slow start at Crittenden County. Was that last year? And they
we're down 14-3.
Yeah, and and
now I think we won that game 64-21.
Oh yeah. I mean,
like
it just totally But it seemed like the whole season was kind of like that. We'd start. I don't know if it was slow start or just
except for the Graves County game.
Oh yeah.
That game was 21-0 after one quarter and. Graves County had to be going, what's going on here?
But they mounted somewhat of a comeback.
They did. It was a whole lot more even game after that first quarter.
Exactly.
And they were playing their backup quarterback that night.
Exactly.
We're going to see probably their starter.
Yeah, he's healed up and ready to go.
So that's going to be a big difference.
And he's a pretty solid play caller, from what I understand. Well, if he calls plays, that's what the government. That's
and
old
a good
school,
basketball
but
player apparently.
So it's going to be a fun year. I mean, it's going to be so much fun to watch these guys and how they progress, where they've come since last year, and again, a lot of high hopes and expectations. But Caldwell County football, obviously we got these Hall of Famers coming in. We've got our 1998 team that we're going to celebrate 20 years. Tradition. I believe that probably is Mr. Howe. You talk here.
Good.
Make sure.
I was going to say it might be a good time to take a break, but I'll let Ty get on the phone, and we're about ready to go into our top 5. It's our top 5 favorite Star Trek characters. Oh man, it's going to be interesting to see exactly what Ty had, and he's talking to Al Willman on the phone right now, and Al was all excited to join our Star Trek top 5 as well. So it's going to be interesting to see which direction he goes. And, man, there were just so many ways to go on this list. And like I said, I cheated a little bit.
We've got Al on here.
Excellent. I need some
How you
headphones.
doing, Al? Come on in. Yeah.
Hey, good guys. How are you this morning?
I'm going to get Todd some headphones here so he can hear you. Okay, we got our act together now. Good to have you joining us this morning. Can you hear us down the line there?
I can, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead, Todd.
Okay, first of all, you have to respond to this. Queen to Queen's level 3.
Oh, you got me with that. I don't know. I remember the response to that.
What? I really didn't think you could get that. I mean,
Don't
I thought
ask
maybe
me.
you would. I think it's Queen to King's level 1.
Something like it's the 3D chess. I know that.
Yes,
I don't remember what
three-dimensional chess from the Whom Gods Destroy episode of Star Trek.
Man.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, Al, I'm way outclassed today. I mean, I remember sitting around and watching the old Star Trek in syndication when I was a little boy.
Well, I should have given you some warning before that. That wasn't really fair. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're all right. You're all right.
But anyway, thanks for joining us today on the Sideline Report, where we're counting down our top 5 Star Trek characters. And if you're out there listening, 963-9038 if you want to text us yours as well. So I'll let you take it away, Deb.
Okay, I'm going to go first with my number 5, which, I really cheated here, and I've got a bunch of people. But first of all, my favorite Cardassians, Gul Dukat and Elam Garak.
Those are solid picks there. Let's see. My number 5, I'm going to have to go out and take a little shot in the dark and go with Tuvok from Star Trek.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Wow.
That's solid. Yeah.
Well,
you can't have enough Vulcans on your list.
No.
It's true.
I've got one villain, and it's at number 5, and I'm just going to say my favorite genetically modified human, Khan.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing about Khan. He only appeared in 1 episode of the original series and 1 movie.
Yeah.
But he's like one of the most...
Man, Ricardo Montalban, though. I mean, come on. So that Khan's my number 5.
But definitely a memorable character because, like I said, he was only in basically 2 shows.
And he was a human augment. I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't realize he was born on Earth. He was an Earthling.
He was part of the eugenics wars of the 1990s.
That's right. And I think it was created by Gene L. Kuhn.
Okay. Are you reading? Are you on?
I'm cheating. Yeah.
Are you on Memory Alpha over there?
Something like that. Anyway, you guys take it away.
Well, the other part of my number 5 was...
Yeah, Todd's got a bunch.
Yeah, I've got a bunch. My favorite Klingons, Kern, who was Worf's brother, and Gowron, the Klingon High Chancellor.
Wow.
Yeah, those are solid picks, too. I like
that was all my number 5.
Boy,
you had 4 number 5s?
I had 4 number 5s.
He had 4 number 5s, Al. This is where I want to use my favorite Klingon joke, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
No.
But my number 4, okay, getting back, to the more, I guess,
civilized,
the more known characters. Yeah. My number 4 is Leonard Bones McCoy.
Good one.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice.
What
number 4, same genre, same time. Scotty, number 4.
Love that character. No matter who's playing him, it's just a cool character. My number 4 is 1, James Tiberius Kirk, James T. Kirk.
Oh, yeah.
Captain Kirk. And I have a connection with James Tiberius Kirk in that my initials are James T., but my last name is not Kirk.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not Tiberius, although I wish I were Tiberius. Mom, why do you name me Tiberius? I'm Tyson. But I have this James T. I love it. So, Captain Kirk, my fourth.
But, in like the original, one of the first episodes of Star Trek, the original series, it actually lists him as James S. Kirk.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder how that got changed.
Somebody thought Tiberius was cool. I'm
sure.
It
is cool. I mean, hey, Tiberius, what's going on?
Okay, so where are we at now?
Number 3.
My number 3. Okay, and the whole reason we're doing the Star Trek this week is because it was announced over the weekend that Patrick Stewart is coming back as Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Man, that's cool.
On CBS All Access, that's going to be a new series coming up at some point in the future.
What are they calling that series?
We don't know yet.
Don't know yet? Okay.
And don't even completely know. It's supposed to be about his time after the events of The Next Generation.
Okay. Interesting.
So in that's why we're doing the Star Trek Top 5.
That's pretty cool.
And my number 3 is Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Awesome.
Excellent number 3. Mine is his Chief of Security, Mr. Worf.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. Chief of Security.
Worf ties a lot of things together in Star Trek, from the Next Generation into Deep Space Nine, which, in my opinion, is criminally underrated. Deep Space Nine is really good.
Amen to that.
Awesome. You guys are way ahead of me. My number 3, and I said I'm basic, old school Star Trek. Mr. Spock, the Vulcan.
Yes.
Spock is my number 3.
He has to be on there someplace.
Live long and prosper, baby.
Yeah, he's my number 2. So, and he was Captain Kirk's number 2.
He was.
Yeah.
He was the chief science officer, and I guess his second in command.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome character. Leonard Nimoy. I like the new guy that played it in the movies.
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is, but Leonard Nimoy will always be Spock to me, and so that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Where you at, Al?
My number 2, Benjamin Sisko.
Oh, wow.
Officer of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't know how many Deep Space Nine references we would get.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I had my Gul Dukat and Garrick. Of course, I didn't mention it earlier, but Garrick, one of the best characters ever. I mean, again, a former spy for, the Cardassians, and then he's a tailor, at Deep Space Nine and gathering information, or is he? Which side is he on?
What are you saying? Are you saying the Kardashians?
The Cardassians.
Oh, Kardashians. I was like, okay,
Yes.
well, I'm like going, when were they in space?
That would be interesting, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. A guardian of the Kardashians? That's pretty neat. I'm serious. I thought that's what I was like, when were they there? But anyway, I'm just kidding.
Okay, where are we at? Year 2?
I'm on my number 2,
okay.
And that's got to be one. Got to love this guy, Bones.
Yes.
I've got to be a Dr. McCoy, Dr. Leonard McCoy, and I love his sarcasm. I love his wit. I love his scientific medical ability, and he's just and I like the way he gets all over Spock, and he's right there for Captain Kirk. It was just pretty much a cool dynamic between those 3 characters.
Well, the whole Bones and Spock thing was just incredible.
Oh, it was.
All the way through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, what are you saying, man? And that kind of stuff.
And, DeForest Kelley was always one of my favorites.
Oh, me too.
And one of the reasons is because I think everybody that starred in Star Trek at one point had that, whoa, I'm not Spock, or I'm not Captain Kirk, I'm more than that. I think DeForest Kelley was always cool with being, Dr. McCoy.
Yeah.
And when fans would come up, he was always cool, and he never had that phase where he didn't want anything to do with the Star Trek franchise. He was just always...
Yeah, I think that's awesome, and one of my favorites.
So where we are now, we're up to number 1, right? My number 1. Okay. No drum roll. It's James T. Kirk.
There you go.
There is no Star
You're
Trek
right.
without James T. Kirk.
It's sort of his story, isn't it?
Well, and without William Shatner making that role so iconic, we don't get, 6 other Star Trek series and whatever it is now, 13 movies. That sold the whole thing.
I think you make a good point there. I do. You want me to go, Al?
You can go ahead.
Okay. My number 1, and just because you just same school, is when Montgomery Christopher Jorgensen Scott, Mr. Scott, and the reason why, man, duct tape, whatever he needed.
Oh,
when the Enterprise was down and out and you couldn't go to warp speed, Scotty could figure out how, just in the nick of time, to take them to warp.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when I need to get to warp, I need my Scotty around. So Mr. Scott is my number one.
He'd come up with a cold fusion restart or something. It's crazy.
He might have a diet drink he'd pour in all that stuff. And, there they go. We got just a second, Captain. I'm going to pour this in here. And, it's my scotch. And then he'll take off, So
it'll take 3 weeks to fix that. Oh, we've got 5 minutes? Done.
So
get Scotty in a single malt, and you're fine.
A single malt right there. But think about it, guys. How many times they're in trouble and they call on Mr. Scott? Everything's going to heck in a handbasket, and Mr. Scott pulls them through.
He saves the day by drinking an alien under the table.
You're
who
right.
else does that?
Playing quarters.
Yeah.
So, that's my number one. Mr. Scott.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, my number one came in at a tie. It was Captain Picard and Commander Riker, both from the Next Generation.
Oh, wow.
You can't have one without the other, to me, it seemed like.
I think that's pretty cool. I think you make a good point there.
See, I'm a little hurt that in all our lists, I don't think any of us had Data.
No, I thought about it.
He was one of the last ones out.
Hey, man.
Yeah, he was my number 6.
I was in love with Lieutenant Uhura when I was a kid.
Yeah.
What
a great role.
Oh, my gosh. She was fantastic. She was smart, and, she was pretty. So I loved Uhura.
And I wanted to have Chekhov on my list just so I could say nuclear vessels.
Oh, yeah, nuclear vessels. and those things that Khan put in their ears. You remember that?
Oh, yeah, in the movie, yeah.
Yeah. If you can take a thing getting put in your ear like an earwig and doing all kinds of bad stuff, you're pretty tough.
And I wanted Khan on my list, but I wanted to be able to mention some of the other shows. And did anybody have anybody from Voyager? I don't remember anybody from Voyager.
Yeah, I had two vacuums on
Yes,
side.
you did.
Yeah, he had. Yeah,
that's a good one.
I don't know where he was from.
If I was going to go with a Voyager character, though, it would probably be the Doctor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So,
what about? Let's just talk real briefly since we're on this. Nobody's chiming in. I don't know where everybody's just Star Trek numb. What about your favorite episode?
Oh wow, that's tough.
Of all around.
My favorite episode ever is The City on the Edge of Forever from the original series. But there are some really great episodes.
I was a Tribbles man.
Yeah, it was good. Then you should go back and watch the Deep Space Nine episode of what's it called? Trials and Tribulations.
Trials and Tribulations.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where they
the
actually
Tribbles come back.
The Deep Space Nine crew actually goes back in time to where all that happened with the Tribbles in the original series.
I got to check that out. Then might have to check it out.
There's a great episode of Deep Space Nine called The Visitor that has Tony Todd, who, as I mentioned earlier, was Kern.
Yeah.
Worf's brother. There's a great episode of Voyager that's called Living Witness that is a huge doctor show that's really good. So,
what about you, Al?
Those are all excellent episodes. Oh, man. Those, The Visitor is probably one of my top 5 of all Star Treks.
Yeah.
Best of Both Worlds is my number one.
Yes.
It's kind of an iconic Next Generation episode that really set the pace for the rest of the show.
Cool.
And
it's a two-parter that's basically a movie.
Yeah.
Or better than most movies.
Well, yeah.
I agreed.
That's awesome, guys.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, really glad, to have your input on this today because I know you were fired up. I saw your tweet out there about wanting to be a part of it. So, and we're all about that. The more, the merrier.
No, I was joking with you guys, but no, Star Trek is it's the one thing I think with Todd, very much the favorite of my shows and the things that I've watched my whole life through.
That's cool. What you got going on today with sports around West Kentucky? What the Paducah Sun's up to?
Yeah, today's actually I hate to say the words easy day. When it comes to fall sports season, my volleyball preview just ran today in the paper, so got a good look at First Region volleyball there. I'm also working on a couple more of the boys and girls soccer previews that are going to come out this weekend cross country not too long after that. I've also got a feature I'm working on with the Ruth family, which if you know baseball anywhere in Western Kentucky, you know who the Ruths are. So that'll be
that's great.
first part of that will be in Sunday's paper. The second part will be in next Thursday.
Well, thanks for alerting us. There'll be a lot of people interested in that, I'm sure.
Well, you mentioned volleyball. What can you tell us about Marshall County, because they'll be here in Princeton tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen them this year yet. I know they're still kind of regrouping from the last couple of years. They're pretty young. Their head coach, Dan Lange, was just named the girls basketball coach at Marshall County. Dan Lange, who had a stellar basketball career in his own right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Marshall, they're going to be somewhere, if I had to say the season ended today, they'd be somewhere like fourth in the region, I think. I don't think have that power that it needs to beat McCracken yet, but they're going in the right direction, and they're going there pretty quickly.
It'll be a good, solid match, though, tonight for Caldwell County for the opener.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would think so. Where are you going to be opening night of the season?
Opening night, I'll be at Graves Murray on Friday, and then Saturday I've got Tillman McCracken at
That'll
Tillman.
be a good one.
Yeah, that's always a fun game. It's amazing. I went down to that one last year. It's fun to watch it if you like high school football. But I remember parking way out by US 60, and making the long trek to the stadium. That's where you had to park. I mean, it's packed in there. And I mean, what a rivalry
for that one.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Great.
Yeah, it's a fun football game if you're just a high school fan, just to go and check it out. It's unreal.
Absolutely.
And now will it be at Tillman this year?
It'll be at Tillman this year. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because last year it was out at McCracken County. So
Tillman has a pretty nice home schedule then, because Caldwell County is going to be down there too, and this has been a good year to sell tickets.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got Caldwell at home, then they go play Stadium Champions in that long-running rivalry game against Mayfield, excuse me.
Yeah.
So that'll be they hosted that last year, and that had a pretty good crowd to it.
And your all's football preview comes out next Wednesday, is that right?
Next Wednesday, yep. We've got all kinds of good stuff in there.
It's going to be a big day on local newsstands, because the Caldwell County football preview is coming out Wednesday, the 15th of August. So, and we've got soccer coming up Saturday, and got Caldwell County preview and some Lyon County stuff too. So,
good deal.
All right. Oh, and I forgot when we started the Star Trek stuff, I was going to dedicate our entire top 5 to Weird Al, because one of my favorite lines from the song "White and Nerdy" is, the only question I ever thought was hard was, do I like Kirk or do I like Picard?
Man, that's a musical genius at work right there. There's no doubt about it.
And then you've got another Weird Al right here, so it works out.
Yeah, it works out.
He's the Bob Dylan of the accordion. No doubt about it. That's pure poetry. So, well, man, thanks for joining us today. You're welcome to stick around if we missed anything you want to talk about. Definitely not kicking you out.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. No, thanks for having me. I got a couple of things I got to take care of this morning here, so I got to let you guys go though.
Excellent.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon, and see you out at the fields. Okay.
Looking forward to it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Have a great day. Bye.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
It's Al Willman of the Paducah Sun, and one of our guests, and one of the guys that we run across up in the booths and fields around West Kentucky, working hard for the Paducah Sun. Be sure you check out, they've got their football preview coming out, I believe, next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Is what he said. The same as our Caldwell County football preview as well. So check out
all the sports guys are busy this time of year. I mean, it's that time, and had volleyball in our paper on Wednesday. Again, soccer's coming up Saturday. Football is next Wednesday, and then, of course, the season opener for the Tiger football team next Friday night over at Christian County, and that's going to be an interesting game. And we did get mentioned earlier, that game is now the 5:30 game. So it's gone from being 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock to 5:30. So
that's even better. I mean, you get to hit the Waffle House earlier.
Better for us, yeah.
When you leave there.
From a newspaper standpoint, it's a whole lot better having a 5:30 game.
Yeah, now you get to go back and get ready for the Saturday edition.
Yes.
Yeah. And, it's always a great place to play over the Stadium of Champions, Jerry Claiborne Bowl. And did you say that South Warren couldn't get a bus?
That was my understanding. They couldn't get there early enough for the 5:30 game. So because originally Hopkinsville and South Warren were going to play that first game, and that's going to be a pretty big early season matchup right there.
Well,
too.
yeah, it really is. And if you're a football fan, I mean, that's one worth sticking around and watching after our game.
A lot of people are looking at Hopkinsville as being one of the big teams coming up. So
no doubt about it. And I think we're getting a text here. We definitely do that. We're reminded, and we need to talk about the parking situation out at the stadium. And of course, we're having renovation and work done out at our ATC. That is our Area Technology Center. Lots of work, a lot of construction going on out there. So parking could be a little tricky up there, especially you fans that park over by the ATC, or the vocational school, as it's called. Not sure, the exact situation with where things will be and how things are placed, but you need to use caution when you're around there, because there could be, materials stacked up certain places. They might even block off maybe part of the lane. So stay tuned for that. And as we get closer to time, of course, our scrimmage is tomorrow night, but as we open up the season and we have away fans coming in, it could probably be pretty confusing and very, hectic up there. So use patience and realize that there's a lot of good improvements that are going on in there, but it will snarl, where you maybe previously have parked. You might not be able to park there. A lot of folks park on the backside of the vocational school, along the side. So just keep that in mind, and as we hope to have a little bit more definite information maybe about parking and how that'll all work as we head into the season. Of course, the first two games are away for us, so as we come back for that third game, home game in Hopkinsville here against Hopkinsville, then that's really when this will take place. Of course, if you're going out to the scrimmage tomorrow night as well, you need to be aware of that. So.
All right, trying to get Tyler Dixon on the phone. So, we're kind of putting our show together on the air today.
On the fly.
Maybe we could take a break.
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll see if we can get him on the phone and have him for the last, 10 or 15 minutes to talk a little bit about Christian County and maybe some other things.
Yep, we'll do that at 9:51. You're listening to the Sideline Report on your hometown radio station, WPKY The Tiger. U-Ride in Princeton is proud to sponsor the Sideline Report each Thursday here on your hometown radio station, WPKY The Tiger. Go on out to U-Ride on Marion Road. Ask for Dave's Deal of the Week. It's usually the spotlight vehicle of the week, and it's waiting for you at U-Ride. Dave Harden is the sales manager at U-Ride. Go on out and ask to test drive Dave's Deal of the Week. It's out at U-Ride on Marion Road in Princeton. Give him a call, 270-365-3018. U-Ride of Princeton. Get spruced up with quality mulch from Bashir Sawmill on Dawson Road in Princeton. We all know buying mulch by the truckload saves money, and it's only $25 per load for dark natural mulch at Bashir Sawmill on the Dawson Road, 1/2 mile past City County Park. Bashir Sawmill also buys standing timber and timberland. Give them a call today, 270-365-2330. That's Bashir Sawmill, family owned and operated in Princeton for over 50 years. And we are back on the Sideline Report at 9:52. And another phone guest, we'll keep our fingers crossed, is Mr. Tyler Dixon, sports editor of the
Kentucky New Era.
Kentucky New Era. There he is. I hear him. Go ahead, Todd. Take it away.
Hey, good morning. Hey, Tyler. How's it going?
How's it going, guys?
Pretty good. Man, you missed out on an incredible Star Trek Top 5. I mean, it's just – do you have your list ready? Did you do a Star Trek Top 5 list?
Everybody else gave me their list. I do not have my own.
Oh.
I have never watched an episode of Star Trek.
Oh, man. Well, we've got to get into it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just check it out. But I would suggest start with the classics from the 60s.
Yeah.
I really would.
You have to build from there.
Yeah, you really do. And I have not built near what Al Willman or Todd had, but I went about 10 years I didn't watch much TV. But anyway, good to have you join us.
Everybody said, because I watched The Big Bang Theory,
right,
and I knew Will Wheaton, and then everyone said, "Oh, nope, he's the first one off the list." I'm like, okay, well, I can't.
You can't have Wesley Crusher on you. Although he's great, Will Wheaton is great on Big Bang Theory, and I think they've had almost the entire The Next Generation cast on that show at some point.
Yeah, I know they've had a lot of them.
That's pretty cool.
But we wanted to talk some football with you, and got the game coming up over at Christian County next week to start the regular season for Caldwell County. Looks to us like Christian County may be trying to retool or rebuild just a little bit this year.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on them?
Yeah, anytime you lose 20-something seniors, I mean, that's always a big task, especially, obviously, we know the year they had last year going 10-0. I think at least 15 of them are
had college scholarships to play, so that's always great. But yeah, kind of retooling a little bit. A new quarterback, Dante Abram is the number one on the depth chart right now. But I think it'll be a big dose of Donovan McNeil. He's the running back, big, strong kid. I think they're just going to try to feed him the rock. That's what they're going to have to do. They're not going to have all the skill guys like last year, like your Jaquan Longs, your Corey Trices. This is going to be kind of a hard-nosed football team, I think, going forward.
Yeah, and the lanky kid that was quarterback last year is now at UK.
He's at UK, yeah. Got the preferred walk-on. Love seeing that. So it's going to be a different kind of Christian County team than I think we're used to this year.
It's going to be an interesting game because I think Caldwell County is going to try to speed it up on offense and go quicker and quicker. And it looks like Christian County, like you said, is going to want to run the ball, maybe be a little more old school and try to control the clock a little bit.
Yeah, Tyler West, a senior wide receiver, he's pretty much probably going to be their number one wideout this year. But like you said, a lot of rebuilding, and they still have a lot of seniors this year. I think the line will be not too bad. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, anytime you lose that amount of seniors, especially at your skill positions, there's going to be a little bit of rebuilding and a little bit of toughness to start the season.
Christian County, though, usually several athletes they can put out there. So, maybe if they're not the most skilled team, they'll still be able to get after you.
I mean, you say athletes. Fred Tandy, one of the guys on the basketball team, is now wideout this year. Like you said, I mean, there's no shortage of athletes in this town. That's what I've learned here in my 18 months. And they'll throw some athletes at you, but I always think there's going to be somebody that's going to kind of step up that we're not really talking about. That's just kind of come in, not necessarily steal the show, but make a point pretty early in the season.
Again, the Tigers will open the season with Christian County over at the Stadium of Champions on the 17th, and then just a couple of weeks later, Hopkinsville will be here. What do you know about the Hoptown team?
I am very excited about this year's Hopkinsville team. I've seen them a couple times this week, just going out there, kind of always picking the brain of Craig Clayton is something fun to do. But I have a lot of expectations for this Hopkinsville team. Obviously, getting all the way to Franklin Simpson last year, going up 20-0, and then literally the lights going out and losing that game. But, I mean, you got Jay Bland back. You have Torian Dillard, who missed last year with a torn ACL. You have, I mean, pieces on pieces on pieces. This Hopkinsville team is going to be very special this year.
Did they have a skill player come from Christian County over to Hopkinsville? Did I read that? Did I dream that? I know that happens sometimes, but
Ellis Dunn is currently currently ineligible by KSSAA.
Okay.
I've heard that hopefully will be resolved soon, one way or the other. But if he can go, that's a game changer on offense. He's obviously a big body. He picked up a Eastern Illinois offer just a couple weeks ago. But I think where they're going to really use him is a defensive back. I mean, like I said, big, strong. He can go for the ball. He's a game changer on both sides of the ball. But I know they're really, really looking forward to what he can do in the secondary.
You mentioned going to Franklin and the lights going out. That's interesting because the last time Caldwell County played up there,
the lights did go out. Didn't they?
Half the lights went out, and we played about a quarter of that game with only half the lights on one side of the field.
I remember that.
So somebody up there they need to call an electrician.
It was really weird. I mean, we're just standing there on the sideline just before half, and like you said, one half, the Hopkinsville half, of course, those lights just go out, and that kind of changed everything. And obviously Franklin Simpson had a pretty good run after that.
Maybe they're
they have a panic button.
Maybe they're deliberately hitting the switch somewhere.
It must be. Yeah.
Strategy.
There was plenty of that on the sideline. I can definitely attest to that.
I just remember that happening to us because, I'm taking pictures of the game.
Yeah.
And at a lot of football games,
you need light.
Yeah, it's tough to get pictures anyway because the fields aren't, the greatest light
lit.
sources. Yeah. So when you lose half of them on one side of the field, I mean, it's almost impossible at that point to stand there and try to get pictures. And, again, we played a pretty good chunk of that game with half the lights out.
Our 12th man, pull the plug.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
The talk was maybe moving back to Hoptown, but, I mean, it took about, I'll say 20, 30 minutes to power everything down, power everything back up, and Franklin Simpson came out that second half, and they just ran over Hoptown.
It's weird how momentum can change sometimes on just
Exactly.
anything like that.
Yeah, it might be somebody that's injured for a few minutes, then boom, something, you get a
Mm-hmm.
delay. But you see that, I think, in baseball, too. You got a pitcher that's in a groove, something happens on the field, and then the guy can't even find the plate.
Yeah.
So, it's just part of sports.
The weather delay over in the regional baseball tournament, I think, hurt Caldwell County.
Yeah.
Give credit to Union County for winning the game and probably deserved to win the game, but Caldwell had tried to build a little momentum there, and then the weather just killed it.
Yeah, certainly did.
And see, I was at softball, and I was done before that game even finished, I think. And that was because I kept on getting updates, like, still delayed. I'm like, I'm going to be done for the day before this is even halfway over. And then I went over to that good old nightcap that started at about 11 p.m.
Oh,
that was enjoyable.
Yeah, I got to love those spring sports.
Hey, we had a game in the regional tournament over at Hopkinsville a few years back. Caldwell County and Lyon County, the last game of the first round. I think we started just a little before midnight, like 11:30, and got done around 1:30 in the morning. So, yeah, those are always fun.
Feels like a Hoppers game.
Yeah. Well, speaking of baseball, I know you're a big St. Louis Cardinals fan, just like I am.
I am.
Cardinals are trying to turn things around. I'm not sure if they can make the playoffs this year or not, but right now, 6.5 games back, 4 games back in the wild card. At least hope is back, I guess, if nothing else.
I agree. I mean, Mike Schilt, I said this a couple times on Twitter. I forgot what series it was. But obviously, I mean, they've won, 4 straight series now? I think that's a huge step. But in the 3 games that I saw more baseball plays. And then that's, I mean, I know I'm 27, but I'm an old school baseball guy. You move the runners over. That's how you win games. And I saw more baseball plays in that 3-game set than I've seen maybe all year with Mike Matheny. And so I think, I mean, like you said, a lot of young guys, are coming up. Your Harrison Baders, who I think he only has a switch that goes to 100. I don't think he has anything less. Tyler O'Neill, I know, just went to the DL, but a lot of young guys that are coming up, trying to prove themselves, and it's really working out in the Cardinals' favor right now.
And right now, the best player in the National League is Matt Carpenter.
He's on a roll.
It's pretty phenomenal. I'll try to watch the games in the office at night, but I'll still get updates, and they'll say, Carpenter hit another one, and I'm just...
I think he's got 11 since the All-Star break. Is that right? Something like that?
Yeah.
He's up to like 30 or 31 homers.
Yeah. 31.
Yeah, leading the league.
Yeah.
Insane, because... And I've heard talk about moving him in the lineup and that kind of thing.
He's leadoff.
Yeah.
If it works, it works.
Yeah, leave it where it is.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised I don't get more credit for that, because the guy was struggling, and I noticed the picture behind my desk was crooked.
I saw that.
I straightened it up, and he's been on a tear ever since.
I wouldn't move it.
I'm not touching anything.
So it's not the salsa, it's the picture.
Yeah, it was the picture, and I don't get any credit for that.
Go back and watch your Bull Durham. You don't want to mess anything up during a streak, right?
That's why guys wear the same pair of socks, for a month.
Or garters or whatever they wear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness. That's good stuff. Todd, I got Todd turning red in here.
Oh, I hate that I missed that.
That's okay, yeah. He's got a face for radio, by the way.
Yeah,
so do I.
I work at the newspaper.
That's right. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say the Cardinals are now 60-55. Again, I'm not sure they can make the playoffs this year. There's a lot of teams in front of them. The Cubs look really good. The Brewers look really strong this year. They have inched their way up the wild card standings just a little bit. Again, if you're a Cardinal fan, there's hope where earlier this season there was none. And if nothing else, at least they're building toward next season. They fixed some things with the pitching staff, the bullpen. I still think they're a couple of guys away, but, man, they look a whole lot better right now.
Yeah. You know what? Sometimes you need that fresh beginning. That change. And I know Matheny was a great guy. Obviously, was not what the Cardinals needed to motivate players and to get them on. And that just happens sometimes.
Just not a good in-game manager.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
But he had no experience. When they hired him, his greatest managerial experience was coaching his kids' Little League team.
Yeah.
Now, yes, he was a catcher in the majors,
but that is amazing if you think about that. And you spend 6 or 7 years. How long was he there? 8 years, maybe.
How
long was he there?
5 or 6.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's amazing if you think about it. It's an incredible sports story in its own right.
It's a little weird that the Cardinals waited so long to make a move when it was obvious the guy couldn't grasp some of the simple things like a double switch, when to make it, when not to, when to start runners, when not to, how to use your bullpen, those kind of things. But, we see it all the time. Dusty Baker has had manager jobs all over the place. And, he was at Cincinnati when I thought they were the best team in the National League and just couldn't get it done. And Dusty Baker was one of my favorite players growing up with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a good in-game manager.
Yeah, no, I see your point there, especially with Dusty. I liked him too, but he's been a manager all over the place.
Yes, but
never quite gotten it done.
Yeah, so how do those guys keep getting hired places? We see it in every sport where there are coaches that just don't get it done and somehow have a job forever.
Right.
I call it the Jeff Fisher syndrome.
Yeah, but Jeff's gotten it done before in the past.
Well, he had a couple of good teams at Tennessee, but that was about it.
Yeah.
But you did see where when the Rams went off and did really well last year, that was because of him. You did catch that, right? He did bring all those guys in.
Well, I don't know if I want to go that far. They made a lot of changes, but there were some other things. Yeah, there were some other things going on in St. Louis that didn't help him any either. The fact that they were trying to be bad so they could get out of town and move to Los Angeles.
Yeah,
when the front office and the owner is deliberately tanking,
sabotaging the team.
Yes,
yeah.
So that wasn't all Fisher's fault.
A lot of feelings on Kroenke.
That's exactly right.
I have a lot of feelings on him too, but I can't really publicly state them.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well,
is that it?
Yeah,
oh boy, we got guests coming in, and we're almost up to news time. No, we're not.
How long did we go?
Hey, Tyler, man, we certainly appreciate you joining us today, and
I appreciate you having me jump on there at the end, guys.
Yeah, and we want you to come back anytime, and we'll see you at the various sporting venues around West Kentucky and in our area. Okay.
I will see you next Friday. I will be at the stadium.
Awesome. We'll see you then. Have a good one, man, and we'll see you around. Thank you.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Okay, Tyler Dixon, sports editor at the Kentucky New Era in Hopkinsville. And before we wrap up and get out of here for today, we went a little over, but that's okay. That we do that about all the time. Again, reminding everybody our big scrimmage tomorrow night. You get a first look at our Tigers on the field if you haven't been to some of the 7-on-7 things, but you get to kind of see the whole crew out there. Padded up and going at it against Butler County at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock at Tiger Stadium, and Coach Barnes said this will actually be more of a game-like type of scrimmage. In the past they've done the 10-10 and the down and distance thing, and it's kind of difficult to get a feel of what's going on in an actual game situation. But I'm guessing that Butler County probably did a lot of that last week in its scrimmage with Breckenridge County.
So this will be more like a game.
And so they want to play more of a game situation for this week, so I think for Caldwell County that'll be interesting to see, and probably be a good test to get ready for that first game. I think the way Caldwell County typically uses their scrimmages, you just want to see the offense in action. You want to see the defense have to make some tackles, don't get anybody hurt, and get ready for the season opener.
I think you're probably right. And, of course, we're going to be out there, I think, do a little trial run at WPKY. It's hard to announce. You might have jerseys with numbers on them. We don't know who might have them.
But they might have somebody else's number.
Exactly. So that might be a little difficult. I'm going to leave that up to Bob and Dennis. They're going to be out there, but we're going to do a little trial run tomorrow on the scrimmage. So stick around for that. Hope you will enjoy that.
And home volleyball tonight. The Lady Tigers host Marshall County at the Cab. I think freshmen start at 5:30, followed by JV and varsity. It's a lot of action. Volleyball, so much fun. And,
it is. It's fun to watch.
Not always a lot of home matches because they play in some big events. So here's a chance to go out and get an early look at the team.
And that's at the Cab.
Yes.
Yep. And then our middle school Tigers, they're at Union County tonight as well, making the trip over there.
And we got soccer previews in the paper Saturday, and then the big football special next Wednesday and the times later.
Yep, and soccer scrimmages tonight.
Tonight, I think they're both away.
Okay, so lots of stuff going on, folks, and of course you can stay up to date on the latest sports by picking up your Times leader, Todd Griffin. Excellent sports coverage here.
And speaking of the volleyball team, they went to the Bluegrass State games over the weekend. Went 5-1, won their first pool. It's like a double pool event and then a single elimination tournament. So if you win one pool, you go to a higher pool. Well, the Lady Tigers won the first one, win 2 games.
Yeah.
Went to the next pool, which was pretty tough competition, won those 3 games. Well, that put them in the championship flight.
Right.
There's 8 different flights, and you might have seen that some of the area teams did really well in their flights. Well, they were in those bottom flights. The Lady Tigers were in the top flight against some of the best teams in the state, played a really good Louisville male team, lost in the quarterfinals, ended up going 5-1. But that was a pretty big deal just to get in that championship flight at the Bluegrass State games.
Hey, and that makes you really excited and hopeful for what they'll do this season, because that's some pretty stiff competition there. We wish all our teams best of luck. Jake Lewis, I think, is in California racing this weekend.
Yeah.
And congratulations, Emma Talley, good British Open, made the cut. Some of those at the top, smoked the course over there. But we'll see. It continues on for Emma Talley. She's had a fantastic year.
She keeps adding to the total.
That's right, adding to the total. She got her card secured for next season, of course. She'll be playing in Asia, I think. So kudos to her as well.
And I think the next LPGA event is actually in Indianapolis. Not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yeah. So be looking out for that. And, of course, Todd will keep you up to date on and follow Emma's progress. We will here at the Tiger as well. And we certainly appreciate you tuning in today to the Sideline Report. It's heard every Thursday at 9:03. 3 really great sponsors, Bashir Sawmill, U-Ride, and ABC Finance. We thank them as well.
Yeah, that was a fun show.
It was. And
we kind of had to do it on the fly, but it worked out great.
It works out great. I can't believe my engineering prowess is not, you remember from the old days in radio, I struggled a little bit, but so far so good. We're getting people on the air. So
thanks to Al Willman for joining us. Thanks to Tyler Dixon for joining us. And like I said, a lot of good information.
Yep, and stick around for next week.
Like Star Trek.
Yeah, it's Gator DT tomorrow. Check that out. They'll be here at 8 o'clock, and we'll start that saga back up, and we're looking forward to that. Thanks to DT for dropping off donuts today as well. Lots of stuff going on, and we certainly appreciate you joining us on the Sideline Report here in your hometown radio station, WPKY, The Tiger, at 10:12. For Todd Griffin, Ty Englebright, have a great day, everybody.
From the WPKY Weather Center, here's a look at the latest